Hello, and welcome back to Diecast Graveyard. My name is Paul. Today we've got a really cool restoration for you. We're going to do a Hot Wheels Carabo. Now this car was released by Mattel in 1970 and 71. This car is actually designed after a car that hit the show circuit around the mid-1960s, but it was never made or produced or released in mass production. It's a pretty cool car. It kind of looks like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. And we're going to do the best we can to fix this one. This one's missing a lot of paint. And the windshield is slightly cracked. But unfortunately, we can't get a replacement for it. So we're going to do the best we can to restore this car to its original glory. Let's go ahead and get this bad boy apart and get started. We got the car apart. We're going to put the car in the embalming fluid, or in this case citrus strip, and we're going to let it sit there for a few hours. Once we get it out, we're going to clean it up and we're going to polish it up. The base on this car also was painted black, so we're going to have to strip that also and get that repainted because there's a lot of paint missing off of that too. Well, let's go ahead and have both of these parts in the citrus strip, and we'll let it set for a while, and then we'll get it out and clean it up.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
We got the base and the car out of the citrus strip. Now we're going to use the Flitz. Now, Flitz Polish is absolutely awesome. It works fantastic, and because it's a cream, it more stays in place if you're using it than you would if you were using some type of a liquid polish. Flitz is awesome. Also, Blue Magic Metal Polish Cream. I like both. I prefer the Flitz. And you only need a little bit. So go ahead and get your Dremel once you get the Flitz on there and start polishing this bad boy up to get any toning off, any scratches off, and see how much we can polish it to make it look really cool. Sometimes if your Dremel is going a little bit too fast, it's liable to buck on you and kick the car out from underneath you. Be careful when you're polishing around doors and anything that can open, because these buffing wheels will grab them and they'll bend them or they'll snap them, and once you do that, pretty much these things are gone, okay? So you've got to be really, really careful when it comes to polishing around any parts that open or move. There's a tip today from your Uncle Paulie. When you're using these polishing wheels, you can use them a few times, but when they start to get gummed up and they start getting really dirty, you might want to go ahead and change them out, because you want a nice clean surface, and if you're buffing it with a dirty buffing wheel, you're just buffing it with dirt. So you need to make sure that you change these things out occasionally. So something to be aware of there. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that little bell to be alerted to any future videos that come out. And again, folks, please subscribe. If you're already here watching the video, you want to have a good time and you want to see some things and you want to learn some things. It doesn't cost you anything. If you don't want to watch the video, then don't watch it. But at least subscribe and you can be alerted to something that might come out that might interest you. So go ahead and click on that subscribe button. Besides painting, this is one of my favorite parts of working on the car, because you go through and you take it apart and you clean it all up and you polish it all up to make it look really good, and you know that when you get a really nice metal finish on this car, then when you put that beautiful Spectra Flame paint on there from the Redline shop, this car is going to turn out fantastic. Now, if you're not happy with the way it's polishing, just keep working on it. Hit it with the steel wool, or hit it with the light and fine sandpaper, and then buff it out again. If you don't like it and there's little pits in there and everything, go ahead and sand it down and rub it down and buff it out again. The more you do it, the better it's going to be. Now you also need to be aware though that the more you sand it and the more you buff it, you're liable to wipe out the details of the car, such as door handles and body lines, etc. So be careful when you are doing it, but you can make the car look fantastic. And when this car is all done being buffed out and cleaned up, we're going to have to spray it down and scrub it down with degreaser and a toothbrush. Let's move on. Okay, I don't want the doors to stick on the car, and we're going to paint this again using the hot pink. Now, hot pink is a very finicky color. It runs incredibly easy. So when you're spraying with the hot pink, make sure that you're doing very, very light tack coats and sit for anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes in between. Now that's with this particular paint because, like I said, it's very, very runny and it will run on you and cause drips. So don't put down too much. Put a light tack coat and then let it dry. Or just tack up at least. This is starting to look really good. We're going to need to let that set for a while because, again, I don't want it to run on me. When you do the bright hot pink paint job correctly, it looks sharp. It really does. It's just incredibly finicky to work with.
Meanwhile, back in the graveyard.
We put a few more coats on there and we let it dry overnight. Now we're going to hit the back end of the car with some of the black vinyl paint from the Redline shop. Now the black vinyl paint here, folks, this is one of the few colors that does not need any hardener to it. In fact, it's not compatible with the hardener. You can use it right out of the bottle. So go ahead and use it. Do it sparingly and lightly, but don't mix it with anything. And there's another tip today from your Uncle Paulie. As soon as you're done spraying the paint, go ahead and take the tape off to reveal the wonderful job you just did. I try and use tape on the car that's got incredibly low tack, and it does. This blue tape does have low tack, just not to itself. So be careful when you go to take the tape off. You're liable to rip the car right out of the helping hands or whatever you're using to hold the car up. I'll usually stripe it out or block it out with some pinstriping tape because that is incredibly low tack, but it still makes a good seal. And then I'll seal the rest of the edges with this blue low tack tape. And again, it sticks really good to itself though, so please be careful. This is going to look sweet. There we go. Now we can get the pinstriping tape off. This is a pretty wild car. Like I said, it does look like a Lamborghini. It wasn't one of the more popular cars at the time, but it's still very deserving of being restored for your Hot Wheels collection. And that's why I like to do these cars. Not only just the popular ones like the Camaros and the Mustangs and like that, but all these cars deserve a place in your collection. That looks really nice. Let's move on. Now the Carabo had a stripe in the very front of the car. This particular one had an orange stripe. So here I'm using the orange opaque paint from the Redline shop. And again, this is another one of those colors where it's thick and it's opaque, but you got to be careful putting it down because you can put it down too thick. So if you got to put it down in layers and let it tack up in between, please do. Well, this turned out really good. I love how the body looks. That hot pink paint is excellent. That black vinyl on the back looks great, and the orange stripe in the front looks good. Let's let that dry up. Now here's the base. We took the wheels out earlier, the suspension block, and painted the entire bottom black. That turned out really nice. I was very happy with that. Now we've got the wheels here, and these wheels here are the cap style wheels. Now that little notch there in the front, that tells you whether it goes towards the front or the rear. Now that notch happens to go towards the front of the car, so that's how we're going to put it back in, and then we're going to glue this back into place. Go ahead and push it down and snap it into place, and then I'll hit it up with a little gel super glue. Looking good. Now we're going to let that set for a bit and let it dry up. But, you know, I'm kind of in a hurry here, so we're going to use some of the Accelerator for the super glue. This will help it dry up almost instantaneous. Now I've got this little bottle that I use with the little needle tip on it, and I think I got those like at the Bass Pro Shop or something. But you can get them at my online store there on Amazon Marketplace. The comment section shows the link to my Amazon store where you can find those hard to look for items, or those hard to find items that you're looking for, such as Molotow chrome pens and the tools that I use. Now here's the Instaset here, and again, this sets up the super glue almost immediately. Now if you use the bottle itself, it'll spray, and it'll spray a lot all over the place. That's why I put it in this little bottle with the needle, so I've got a lot better control of where I put it by a couple of drops versus spraying everything down. Let's get the new wheels on. Again, these are cap style wheels, and cap style wheels only come in two sizes. They come in medium and they come in large. Now this particular car has 4 medium cap style wheels on it. So that's what we're going to replace it with. Now I got these wheels at the Redline shop. I get 99% of my restoration supplies from my Redline cars from the Redline shop. And you should too. John's got an excellent selection of the products. Now if there's something that you need that you don't see, go ahead and contact him. Maybe he can get it made up for you. It's a wonderful place to get your supplies. That looks fantastic. Looking great. Let's go ahead and move on. Well, I was looking at the windshield. I did sand it down and clean it up, but it was still looking a little bit wonky. So I went ahead and I dipped it into the Gauzy. Now, whether you use Gauzy or Pledge Revive, both of those products are just equally as good. Now, I prefer the Gauzy because it's actually made for the hobbyist for their model cars. The Pledge Revive works just as good, and it's probably a little bit of a better deal, but I really like the results of the Gauzy, so I'm going to use the Gauzy and have the Pledge Revive in reserve if I need it. Now here's all the parts ready to go. Here we've got the body with that beautiful hot pink paint, that orange stripe in the front, and the black vinyl louvers in the back. Those look fantastic. Here's the base with the gloss black from the Redline shop and the brand new wheels from the Redline shop. That turned out fantastic. Here's the interior. That looks good. Here's the windshield. Now this is before the Gauzy. I was looking at it and I said, no, I need to get that dipped. So we went ahead and took care of that. And here's how we started this Hot Wheels Carabo in desperate need of a restoration. With all the paint missing off of here and everything that's all scratched up, the wheels are worn out, the windshield's all scratched up. This is in desperate need of a restoration. So we took it apart, we cleaned up the body, we put new wheels on it, we painted the base, we polished everything up, and this is what we got to. Look at how nice this Hot Wheels Carabo turned out. Now again, the windshield's got a couple cracks in it because I couldn't find a replacement for it. But my friend John at the Redline shop, he's constantly updating his supplies to be able to give you all that you need in order to do the restorations on your old Redline cars. The paint, the hot pink, the black vinyl paint, the orange paint, the wheels, the black gloss, everything came from the Redline shop, folks. Now the best part about it is all these paints, you can use these on your more modern Hot Wheels too to make them look that good. Once you get them apart, clean them up, buff them up, and you can have a Spectre Flame paint job on your modern Hot Wheels. How absolutely cool is that? This car definitely turned out good. It's going to look good in my display case. Now I've got a Patreon page. My Patreon subscribers, they help me out with a donation every month. Grim Reaper level William Robinson, Dale Johnson, Ed Ostrander, and Richard Reese. These guys help me out. Jake Rademacher, Ray Berger, Air Warrior Coffee, Ricky Montalvo, and Jason Warren. Thank you so much. Double B's Customs on Facebook. Check them out. Diecast Sheriff's YouTube page. And Dave Christensen. These guys here, Keith Kripe, Ryan Goldstein, Stacy Wright, Les Jenkins, Bob DeNice, Paul Bearer Level, Gary Tasker. Hearst Drivers, Jim Silva, check out his YouTube page. Scott Turner, Diecast Pirate, Steve Terrence, and Tony Hughes in the UK. And don't forget Pete Langford. Guys, thank you so much. Check out the link in the comments block. This video was brought to you by the Redline Shop. The Redline Shop offers a complete line of decals, tools to take your car apart, put them back together, replacement hoods, replacement glass, those beautiful Redline tires, and of course, the world famous Spectre Flame paints. Fantastic products. The Redline Shop at www.redlineshop.com, where Redlines come to life. Thank you so much for joining me here today on Diecast Graveyard. I love making these videos for you guys. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click on that thumbs up button. And we got a lot more videos coming up. 4,000 subscribers are right around the corner. Cheers.